Hello and welcome to podcast 373 of 5-Star Potential, your weekly football manager podcast. I'm Duke, and on this week's pod, I'm joined by Paul, aka Mad FM, Dave, aka Dave as a party, and I'm delighted to welcome another very special guest this week, a comedian, a streamer, a Guinness enthusiast, and the host of the FM Show podcast. Returning to the 5-Star Potential is Mr. or Sir Tony Jameson.
Evening, fellas. How are we?
Congratulations on the knighthood.
Normally what you do when you get on a podcast and you got 3 times, you get like a match ball. I'm getting knighted. You've got power on this podcast now.
No,
I like
it's
it.
just what we did in that hotel room. You're probably knighted now.
Yeah, and we lost that match ball as well. So
Ball burst.
Anyway, moving swiftly on this week's pod, we'll be chatting to Tony about his FM24 adventures and overall opinions on the game as we enter the twilight of its life cycle. For our spotlight this week, we'll be discussing the recent announcement from Sports Interactive, which has finally confirmed a release date for FM25, along with a few other bits and pieces. We've naturally divided the FM community this week. And finally, fingers crossed there's not, but if there is time, we might just have an FM Wonder Kids quiz from Mr. Mad FM himself, as we've missed a quiz the last few weeks. But before we get to all of that, gentlemen, as a whole, how has your weekend been? Any winners, any losers?
Yes.
Anyone want to jump
Dave?
first?
Yeah.
Dave wants to go first.
A loser is that I've got a sore throat, so I do not feel well, if I'm honest.
Again, that's nothing to do with that hotel, by the way.
Definitely not. I've actually started, as of yesterday, which was the 1st of October, I'm doing a challenge for prostate cancer UK. It's called Prostate United, and basically you've got to walk, run, or cycle every day for a certain distance throughout October. Now, exclusive, I can't ride a bike. I don't cycle, so people at home are probably laughing their head off. But I never learned to ride a bike.
You can't ride a bike?
What?
I think people are now thinking you're going to run this.
Yeah,
rather than...
yeah, potentially. Yeah.
Unless
you can't ride a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
go back on the bike thing.
Yeah, I've never learned to ride a bike, and I doubt I'd be able to ride a bike.
Wow.
Mad. Especially when you got bikes in the family.
Yeah. Wow. Anyway, so I've started that, and I did a 6-kilometer walk yesterday just before work, and then this morning I was going to go on a run, and I thought, so I just did the same walk again. But it's good. I don't really listen to podcasts, but I listened to some podcasts, and it made the walk go really, really quickly.
FM Show by any chance?
It was a Steve Bull Under the Cosh podcast, actually, and even I could barely understand the word.
That's where you say yes, and then
as well.
The guest.
I couldn't understand a word of it, to be honest. And other than I've started that. I will put a fundraising link if anyone wants to contribute in the description. And
Absolutely.
Other than that, FM related, we didn't play a lot of network save, me and Duke, the last week. I will hold my hands up. That is my fault. But I am still unbeaten at the top of the league with Tottenham. The only game I've dropped points in, believe it or not, is actually against Wolves. And that is just a coincidence. So, killing it.
I'm just going to interrupt this podcast just to announce that it is Wednesday evening that we're recording this. And Aston Villa have just gone 1-0 up. Tony Jameson is a Villa fan, if you didn't know. That's, big Villa fan that he's here watching, doing this. Anyway, your winner of the week, Tony. Also, Dave, walking's meant to be my thing, by the way.
Yeah. So,
thanks for that. But no, please do drop your link below,
Yeah.
and I'll donate exactly what you donated to me. Fuck all.
I'll give you 20 quid.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, all done.
Right, winner of the week. Tricky one, actually. Winner of the week, you know what, is how do I phrase this nicely? I was going to say, I've swallowed my pride, and I can already see Duke going, oh, have you now? Have you again?
There we go.
Call back to that hotel room. I've swallowed my pride a little bit, okay? Because you boys know, and maybe some of your listeners might know as well. I've got two young boys in the family, and they're just not quite into football, but they like the idea almost of football. So I've been introduced to football kits, and my eldest one is just started playing on a weekend. He's got no clue about football teams, right? And I'm like, so which football kits do you like? What football t-shirts do you like? We call them, and he's just trying to pick them out. And Mrs. J is an ardent Liverpool fan, and I'm kind of like, look, don't follow Liverpool. Just anybody, just try not to pick Liverpool. And eldest Jameson has went Liverpool, please. I'll be a Liverpool fan. I was like, right, fine. And I was looking to try and buy him a football kit, and he wants the England kit. And I'm like, right, that's fine, no problem, even though my allegiance is Scotland. So fine, that purple one's pretty cool. It's a good kit. I'll buy you that. But I sucked it up and I bought him a Liverpool shirt. And Dupe, I know you're disgusted with that, right? But for me, I was like, that's a good thing, right? Like, again, as a parent, Dupe, you must know that there is a point where you just have to just accept that you're going to have to buy something that you don't really agree with, but it makes your kids happy. And even saying out loud, I'm not sure I should have bought a Liverpool shirt, really.
So, I actually thought I'd avoid this sort of subject forever on the podcast, but I'm going to have to bring it up because, first and foremost, I didn't know that I would find out tonight that I've got a favourite son of Tony's.
It's youngest Jameson. He's got an AC Milan shirt if anyone's interested, by the way.
Love that. Raphael on the back, love it. No, my eldest son is very massively influenced. I took him to Manchester United versus Brentford under the lights. We won 1-0. It was a good game. He loved it. I spent like a fortune on a shirt with his name on the back and the number he wanted. Happy as Larry. Then his nan got involved. And his nan is his favourite person in the world. And she's an Arsenal fan. Oh. So guess what he's got in the cupboard? He's got 4 Arsenal kits that she's bought him. And he's gone, no, I support Arsenal, but, I understand that United's your team. I then, fast forward, I then get a spare FA Cup ticket. And I say to him, I've got a spare FA Cup ticket for the final. He's like, oh, can I come with you? I went, no, you're an Arsenal fan. And he has not forgiven me since. I thought that would kind of like entice him to want to come. Now it's just turned him off even more. So now he doesn't even want to talk about Man United. So I mean, fair enough, we're crap, but I haven't bought him an Arsenal kit, and I refuse to even touch it, buy it, or whatever. But I'm in a very similar situation, Tony. And I think
this is like confessions. This is big time confessions this evening. We've got Dave confessing he's never learned how to ride a bike. Tony's talking about the Liverpool.
It is mad.
Now you're bringing in the earth.
Sorry.
Sorry, just to go back to that, because that's still blowing my mind. I think that this could be a video. If you don't know, we are on YouTube. Go check us out. You get to see what Tony looks like in case you haven't seen any of Tony's stuff. But I will say this. I think we should do like me and Mad come over to yours and we teach you how to ride a bike.
It's just my balance. My balance is awful. Really, really bad. Really.
No, I've seen that with your step overs, mate.
Yeah. I saw that when you were face planted the floor as well.
Guess what, though, mate? I can ride a bike. Yeah.
What a flex that is, though, Dupe, in 2024. Yeah, but you know what, mate? I can ride a bike. Like, come on.
I can ride a unicycle, so fuck you. Yeah, mental. Anyway, I feel sorry for you, Tony. I don't know whether that's a winner or a loser, but it'll be both, I think.
I think so, mate. I think so. Yeah. I tried to do a nice thing, and whether it works or not, I don't know. But yeah, I tried.
Yeah, unlucky. Mad, how's school?
School is good.
You had any play dates recently, or?
No, I just play in the sand by myself. I haven't made any friends. So. No, it's actually. This is the 4th week of me being back in university. It's still a bit surreal. I haven't fully gotten used to it. I've had to do a couple of assignments recently, but it's actually interesting because it's of a sports journalism nature. So I had to do like a look at a PR campaign for a football club, which was good fun. I had to actually this weekend. I actually have to do a match report, like a instant match report. So you're like a match report you would do while the game is on. So, obviously everybody on the internet now wants everything immediately. So literally I'm going to go watch Newcastle play Everton at the weekend, which I would be doing anyway. I'm normally podcasting after anyway, and actually have to do a match report as an assignment, and it's going to count towards it. So it's not something that should be too complicated.
Can I ask a question?
So it's fun.
How do they know you did it as you went along?
Because they won't. They probably won't. I guess it would be me taking the piss if I don't do it like that. Because the whole point is, doing it as the game goes on. The narratives change. Things, happen very quickly in football. So you write a match report, and then suddenly you can see 2 goals at the end or something. It can change very quickly. I think it's the whole idea of getting into that, so that you're just getting into the proper habits too, I suppose. And with Newcastle playing Everton, anything can fucking happen. If you look at games gone by.
No Isaac says, yeah, definitely.
Not confirmed.
Is that your
he
winner?
might be back.
Is that your winner of the week? You get to
back.
watch football and do work at the same time?
It's not bad, I suppose. Yeah, I'll take that. I was also over in Newcastle last weekend. I was at the Man City game, and it was a much better performance. It was a great weekend, great day, and nice to see us actually put in a good shift for the first time in a little while, and stop that fucker Erling Haaland from scoring. Because he had 10 goals in 5 games, but he's only scored 1 in the last 5 or 6 against Newcastle. So we are his kryptonite.
Can I ask a question at this point, Paul? Right?
You can.
Because I'm in a comedians Facebook group, right? Very geniusly titled "Comedians Who Want to Talk Football Away from Pricks." Right? Okay, and we need to get rid of some members because, but one of the questions that was raised over the weekend was, why did Newcastle do a lap of honour after getting 1 point against Man City?
But they do a lap of honour after every game.
This is what apparently was happening. Honestly, is the expectation at Newcastle that low now that just finishing the match deserves a lap of honour?
They just do it every game. They just thank the fans. This is a club who connects with its fans, Tony. You might know what that's like, particularly where you're from and the clubs you support. But this is important to Newcastle. They actually give a shit.
It was a big game for Newcastle because Madput, it doesn't get much better than that. A 1-1 draw at home against City. I saw that, man.
It was more that I was on. It was more I was on the beer for 2 days, Dave.
I saw your post though, and I thought, "What? Who did Newcastle play? Did they win this weekend?" And I checked the results again. I was like, "They drew 1-1. Like, what have I missed here?"
The DVD is
there was a lot more going on. Yeah, there was a lot more going on. We also did an Irish Mags kind of a presentation to Anthony Gordon and Tino Livermento, which was really fucking cool as well. So we were in St James's Park before the game, like just as the players were kind of walking into the stadium, into the dressing rooms and stuff. So that was pretty cool as well. So the weekend, it doesn't get much better than the weekend, Dave. Plus I was drunk for most of it.
That's your other podcast. That's the one you actually like doing, isn't it?
It depends. The people over there are much nicer to me, but that's as far as I'm willing to go.
Okay. Fine. Whatever.
Hold on. I listened to last week's pod, dude. I heard what you said about me. I know you're pining for Joe to come back, so you're pushing for this.
To be fair, I'm not going to lie to you. Everyone's pining for Joe to come back. I'm also pining for Nerd to come back. I'm also pining for Curtie to come back and Teach, because if they all come back, I can fuck off to the FM show. So, I don't care.
It's a great way for Si and Aaron to find out there's a vacancy, isn't it? Just
kick the door down. Anyway, talking of the FM show, Tony is sat down there in the corner looking a little bit too comfortable. So I think we should put the spotlight onto you because I'm sick of talking to these other two Muppets. As mentioned at the start of the show, we're going to be approaching the end of the FM24 release with a release date for FM25 confirmed. And that being said, you are still knee deep in your FM24 save, which I believe has carried on for a remarkable 11 months, 19 in-game seasons. So I guess the first thing I got to say is, tell us all about it, because Dave would never know. He couldn't guess now. Go on, who is he? Who's he managing? Where's he managing? What continent is he managing in?
Give you a clue. It's not Wolves.
Someone swearing like Norway or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You got it right.
Ooh. Ooh, that was a couple of years ago. But that'll do. That's close. That's close.
I don't know.
To be honest, it's like trying to keep with Aaron's saves as well, and he starts to save every few minutes. So I'm the exact binary opposite. My save this year is it's a one save for the year. It's a Build a Nation Greece. I've never done a Build a Nation save before, so I thought I'd give that a go. Reason I chose Greece was the registration rules are pretty decent, to be honest, for a Build a Nation. I know that someone like Second Yellow Card is very famous about building nation saves, loves to use a loan farm. I wanted to do it without the loan farm, which, again, I mean, if your listeners know what the loan farm is, where you stockpile all your players, loan them back out, you make everyone else in the nation really, really good. You improve all the teams around you. I mean, I think Matt had something like 300 loanees out at one point. I haven't got the patience to do that, so I'm just doing it as I do it. I took a club from the second division called Larissa. They've previously won the title once only before, and the Greek authorities tried to not let them have the title, but their fans campaigned, and basically the Greek FA just went, just let them have it, right? So they barricaded like the roads and everything to the Greek FA. So they have won the title once before, and that was in 1988. So my plan was to try and win the title in game, prior to the 50th anniversary of them winning the title. And we did it at 49 years, like from essentially from that. So that was pretty cool. But the registration rules are really, really good in that most EU nations are classed as non-foreign, which is pretty handy. And also English players are classed as non-foreign, so they're classed as EU. So a little tactic that I found fairly early on was try and snaffle up out of contract English players, bring them in on a free contract, play them at my club for a couple of years, and then sell them back to the Premier League for £5 million and have a nice little way of generating some income. So we brought a couple of players in. We brought players like, what's he called? The lad who was at Peterborough, who's now gone to Southampton. Name will come back to me.
Centre half.
Johnson, possibly. Yeah.
I know you. Ronnie someone?
Ronnie. Yeah, Johnson, John Ronson, Ronnie Johnson, Johnny Jepson.
Johnson used to play for Man United.
Ronnie Johnson. We signed Ronnie Johnson, which
Norwegian.
was amazing. And we sold him to West Brom for £5 million. Can you believe it? Right. So we had him in. We brought Job Bellingham. So we got the best Bellingham out of the two brothers. We brought him in on a free. He lasted 12 seasons in Larissa. And you become a Greek citizen after Ronnie Edwards. That's your
sorry.
And you need to be 7 seasons in the nation before you can become a citizen. And we tried to make Job a Greek international footballer because we were managing the Greek national side at the time. Obviously, can't do that in FM25. We'll talk about that later. But Job was just refusing to acknowledge that he was sort of Greek in a way. So that was a bit of a shame. And eventually we ended up selling him back to Birmingham. Wonderful circle of life for him to go and retire. But in terms of the game, it's been great. We're 19 seasons in. We were 17 seasons at Larissa. I should say 17 at Larissa. We won a league title. We won a cup. Final season, the board were starting to be a bit shirty with me, right? Like we were finishing third every season. Champions League regulars, European regulars. They were saying mid-table finish is great. And I'm like, we're overachieving. Something's going to go wrong here. The one season we finished fourth, they were like, you should have finished third. And we're like, when? When did you tell me that? Like, so they're like, look, next season, top 3. I was like, okay, cool. But we've never really got much coming out of the youth system. So I was like, look, can we have investment in the youth setup? We've been asking for a few years. We're proving ourselves here. We're not spending a lot of money. Let's see what we can do. And the board were like, no. And I was like, right, well, how about we really push for this? And they went, how's about you play young players? And I was like, do you see the problem we've got here? You're not giving me any young players to play. You're wanting me to play the young players. And I went, right, fine. I'll click accept. And then it got to the end of the season, and we apparently hadn't played enough young players. So on the dawn of the Europa League Cup final, because we got to the final where we were going to play Brighton, the dawn of that match, the board sacked us for not playing young players that season.
Oh my God.
Wow.
We never got to play Europe.
Did they win it though?
No, they lost it, and they deserved to lose, right?
Good.
So I was
Fuck
at that
Larissa.
point. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I've put 17 seasons into this save, and I was like, I can't just start a new save now. And I thought about doing like Bordeaux or whatever. But it turns out that revenge is probably a good part of any save, and it's definitely a reason to continue a save. So the guy that replaced me at Larissa was manager of Offi in Crete. And I thought, well, let's go and manage them. And we had a little bit of a nosy around, and their owner was a tycoon. So I thought, jokes on Larissa.
Yeah.
So I went and took over at Crete, finished third in the first season. Larissa finished 5th. And we're now a couple of seasons in, and Larissa keep falling and we keep rising. So that's the whistle stop tour at the minute. And we're trying to push towards another Champions League appearance and maybe a title with Crete before FM25. That would be cool.
I've got 4 months, so you'll be fine.
Oh yeah, I reckon I can definitely get another 6 seasons in and possibly a cup semi-final if I really try.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be hard for you to explain, but because obviously we don't know everything about it, and some of the new gens and all that is difficult to portray over a podcast. But make us fall in love with one. Who was your favorite new gen of the whole thing so far?
So there's been a couple of players. Some are new gens. Some Paul and I have a shared love affair with. Certain Jonah Kuziazari. He donned the
Popped up
crimson.
again on Twitter today.
I saw that you posted
he's
that.
around.
Yeah. So he ended up wearing the crimson of Larissa at one point. We needed a striker, and Bayern just weren't playing him in game. So I was like, can we get this boy in? Got him in on loan. He scored like 13 goals in 16 games. I was like, we've got to sign him. Didn't think we'd get the chance to sign him. Eventually we did, and he was on like 50 grand a week or something. Everyone else was on 4. And I was like, we need to spend this money. And then we got the little thing that says, you are going to fail financial fair play. And I'm like, I wonder why. Let's just sell everybody else and cover for JKA. We've had some players in that have been fantastic. A guy called Koltzos, who was a Greek centre-half that we signed from Olympiakos. We brought him in when he was 18, and we sold him to the Middle East for £65 million, having only had him for like 3 seasons, and he is an absolute superstar. He looks so good. We've been desperate to try and get him back, but it's never really happened. We picked up a lad. Your listeners will probably know, if you go and scout places like Generation Foot or Mimosa, they always have like really, really great young African players. We went to Generation Foot. We signed a player called, and I've got to pronounce this really slowly, Nwanko, just so I get his name right. A centre half, yeah, like Kanu, yeah. Centre half, free transfer at 17. Sold him to Liverpool after we'd had him for like 3 seasons. Got him back on loan. We sold him for like £20 million. You know, when the board just goes, that'll do. Away he goes. He spent 3 seasons at Liverpool not really playing, because that's how FM decides to buy players and then never play them. Then he went to Real Madrid, and he's now valued at £247 million. Oh
my God.
And I'm like, we signed him at nothing. Like, and I'm like, oh my word, he's an absolute worldie, because he looked great at 17. Like, he looked far too good for Greece at 17, and then like just his attributes have just developed, and now he's in that Real Madrid side, and he's just looking an absolute star. But Joe Bellingham's the one, man. Like, we've just he was great for the system that we had, because all of his attributes are like 11s, 12s, 13s. So he's literally missed that he can play anywhere. We had him playing in midfield. We had him playing as a DLF. We had him playing as a right wing back in moments. I've considered playing him as a libero in his sort of later years, and there'd be one point he was probably going to go in goal, but he was Mr. Consistent. So Job was our guy for the save. But yeah, Koltzos and Nwanko, they're like 100% the ones that we all still talk about.
I love that. That's really cool. If you want to see some of these players, you need to go over onto Twitch and see Tony. We'll put the links down in the description if Dave remembers.
I will remember, don't you worry.
He will.
Obviously, build a nation. Some people take charge of the country as well, and obviously this is our last chance of doing that. Have you been tempted? Have you been earwigged to be the Greek manager? Or
I'm doing it. And I did it properly as well, quote unquote properly. I took the under-19s first.
Love that.
Did
the Lee Carsley effect.
Yeah. Well, I figured I've got to go in and learn. I had to earn my stripes, you know, because I like to try and treat these games as sort of realistic as I can. So I'm like, right,
yeah,
I'll go in at the bottom and work my way up. So I thought I'll go in at the under-19s. We qualified for the Euros, and then I got offered the under-21s job before actually playing in the under-19s tournaments. I was like, well, it makes sense to go to the under-21s. Let's do the step up. And I think I won 4 games and lost 1. And then Steve Clark, who was the Greece manager at the time, you know, Scotland's Steve Clark was the Greece manager. Let's just repeat that. Scotland's Steve Clark was the Greece manager. I had to wait for him to retire before going, can I have the job, please? And then the Greek FA went, you could do the job. And I'm like, I could do the job, right? And I've never really done international management, not for many years. And I can see why it's not in next year, if I'm honest. Like, I find it quite frustrating, partly because I haven't got time to sit and do all the scouting that I probably need to do to get the most out of it. But I just don't feel like I'm getting any momentum. Like there's no tactical familiarity. I never really found that there was a way to build a structure with the national side. Like I could never instill a philosophy like I could at a club side because they were playing the system regularly. I love the idea of the national pool. I think that's a great idea that you can keep tabs on who might become a citizen going forward. That was great. I love the idea of like, this player should be dropped, this player should be called up. That's all great. I love those ideas. But I just felt that as much as I tried, I just couldn't connect with the international management in this. And maybe it's because we go from like being really good to just being dog shit for a while, and there's no rhyme or reason. Whereas at least in league football, I can sort of fix it. But international, like once you go on a losing streak, that's it. Like I think we went 8 games or whatever at one point without a win. And I was like, nah, this wouldn't happen at club level. I'd have been able to fix this by now. But international just seemed like if you're sinking, you're sinking.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody that wants to do a Build a Nation save next year, and before the announcements kind of had a ring fence of what I was going to do, I am a little bit disappointed. And obviously, we obviously can't do international management, but sitting there listening to your save, I'm just kind of like, I'm a bit good. I'm not going to be able to do the whole thing next year. So let me ask you this question. If you were to do the same idea of a save, but not go and take Greece to mediocrity in the Euros and the World Cup, would it have been the same save, or has it made it a little bit better?
You know what? I think because I'm in the same boat as yourself, dude. I still think I might do a Build a Nation save again next year because I love that way of playing. I've never done it before, but I really think that it got my brain working the way that I like to play FM. I mean, we've got Greece up to like 6th in the Euro coefficient, so that's not a bad achievement, to be honest, because all these clubs are doing quite well in Europe. Like AEK won a Europa League, Panathinaikos won one, PAOK have won the Europa Conference. Like they've been successful, not necessarily anything that I've done, but just I was fortunate the league I picked had some good quality teams in it already. So AEK are good, Olympiakos are good, PAOK are good, Panathinaikos are good. So there's 5 teams that are going into Europe constantly, and there's a 5 European sort of like cut-off point. And then once I brought Larissa in there, that was 6 teams. So Panathinaikos had to miss out, or PAOK had to miss out. And then I'm bringing Crete in there. So now Panathinaikos and Larissa have to miss out. So we are building that nation. And I've really enjoyed that process. I don't think the international management has added anything to the save. Really, we've not had any international star come through. Like the youth intakes have been pretty poor. So we've never had like a really good Greek wonder kid. Like the ones we've talked about, things like Koltsos, he's a good Greek player and he's moved on. We're not getting a golden generation coming through. We're not getting these like players where you can go, oh my God, he's got a bit of potential. They're just fine. They're just fine. And like the lack of quality really harms you at international level, I think. Like it's the same as like when you're like Paul, you did France a couple of years ago. It doesn't matter how good you are, but if you're not as good as PSG, it doesn't matter. Like you're just not going to do it. And that's a bit of an issue with international management. I probably will still do Build a Nation next year without it, because I don't think the international has been the be-all and end-all of the save. I think it'd be great if we can finish it with Greece winning a World Cup or winning a Euros, but I don't think that's the defining part of the save in the way that I'm telling the story, if that makes sense.
I agree. It's like it's kind of like a cherry on top of like the one you mentioned when I was doing it in France. It was about homegrown players. It was about kind of not nearly. You don't need to build a nation in France. Come on, they're well built enough, fuckers. But the France job just kind of popped up at the end of my save. I think I think we did 10 seasons, and it was kind of a nice to have because it was not long before the World Cup. So like it was a nice way to round off the save because I think I won the league finally in that 10th season. And then we were like, okay, we've won the league and it was the right time to finish the save. And then, the international job came up and we got it like naturally, organically through the save. But to go back on Dupe's question, I think it's a nice to have kind of a card at the end to kind of say, if I get through 10, 15 seasons and, do what you've done, Tony, bring the country up through the coefficients and the rankings and all that, and then see, can you use what you've done and the players maybe you've brought through and developed to then go into the international side. It's a nice to have, but you definitely don't need it for the Build a Nation, because the Build a Nation is about, lifting up the entire nation through club management and maybe influencing other clubs as well, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if you're talking about you wanting to do a Build a Nation next season, I think we should probably talk. Looking at our scheduling for the podcast, we've got similar ideas at the moment, mate. So if we can have a little chat, that'll be sound.
Yeah,
just want to do the same. But no, that's awesome. Thanks for all that, Tony. To be fair, we have to say, absolute incredible effort for that consistency throughout the game cycle. If you could do me also another favor, sit down with Mad and talk to him, because he could really do with taking a leaf out of your book, because he's consistently shite.
There's one thing that I noticed while doing it, because again, as I said, I've never done these style of save before, is like people are asking me, going like, how do you motivate yourself when you're not winning all the time, like not winning a title? Like, so we've won one league title in the top division, one league title in the second division in that 19 years. It took me a while to understand that it's not build a Larissa or build a Crete, it's build a nation. So like, even though I'm not winning, as long as the other teams in the nation are doing well, then that's the way the save is. Like, and that's quite a difficult way to play the game, particularly when you're streaming. If someone comes in, they've never been in the stream before, they go, "Oh, what have you won in 19 seasons?" You're like, "I've won the league once," and they're like, "Well, you must be any good at the game then." I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's true, but still, like, that's also not the part. That's not the idea."
Maybe that's what Arteta's doing at Arsenal. He's just trying to build up England to be a better nation, because they don't win anything and everyone sucks him off. So, do you know what though? I like it. Can I be honest? I'll be honest with you. It's a stance that I don't dislike. My saves this year, I did my Silence of Town save. We had 8 promotions in 9 seasons. We won the league. We won the Champions League. You won the league twice, I think. It's a bit shit. Like, it's so unrealistic. I've just taken over my Atalanta save. I'm now at Christmas, which we'll talk about next week, because I got banned from talking about it this week. We're unbeaten. We're unbeaten in Serie A. Like, we've not lost a game. We've drawn 2 of them. We've won the rest. I'm playing a 3 at the back system that I spent hours on in pre-season, and we've managed to do. That's so unrealistic. Whereas the narrative behind yours is all, it's a difficult save to do, but it is almost like, if you took your save out of that universe there and you popped it on the back page of the papers, it would read like it should read. Whereas you take mine out and it's like, well, that kind of sounds like a script. It sounds like a story, whereas yours sounds like real life, which is pretty cool, I have to admit.
I think that's sort of how I like to play the game as well. I like to have that air of realism about it, and maybe that's an excuse for not winning as much and sort of going, yeah, but we're playing it realistic, But it's just it just feels a bit more organic in that sense. And like, we had moments where we could have gone and dominated. Like, I'm sorry, I'll wrap up the Build Nation bit in a minute, but we got like this really great Brazilian box formation working. I've never had one work before.
Yeah.
But it dominated the league, and I was like, this is almost too good. So I stripped the tactic back in the summer, sold players that were key to that tactic, and went, right, would rebuild it like we would in real life. A player would leave. How do you rethink it? What do you do instead? Went to a 4-3-3 and then rebuilt that part. So it was tempting to just run this box that was just running over teams. But I was going, I don't want it to just become Spacebar Manager, because at that point, if I'm streaming it and I'm just pressing continue and not interacting with what's going on, then where's the entertainment value?
It's difficult. I mean, I totally agree with you. The issue I've got is I went to Atalanta because I wanted to work on a 3 at the back system. I've got a 3 at the back system working, and then it's like, to be fair, in tonight's stream that we just did, Manchester United, Chelsea, and somebody else sacked their manager. I kind of did think, I could go in for it. I did actually apply for the United job, and I didn't get it. I'm an up-and-coming manager, but it's just like, it's almost gone too well. And it's kind of like, I wanted this to be like a 3-year save. Maybe, come third in my group and then drop down to the Europa, go and defend the Europa League because they won it last year, IRL, and work our way through. But unfortunately, it's just gone too well. And it's difficult to then me turn around and go, well, now I'm not going to play three at the back when I definitely picked them just to play three at the back. So it's tough. Anyway, we'll move on. We talked about Tony, a lot about Tony, but I think we should probably talk about the FM show, if you don't mind, which, of course, you host alongside RDF Tactics. Had a good year? Any good guests on the podcast at all?
It's been a good year. Who have we had? We've not had. Dave, we need to get you on, mate. What's going on? Like, yeah.
When I finish the Pentagon, you can get me on. Because that's something.
Okay. So you've heard it here first. In 2057, Dave's going to be on the FM show. You know what? It's been great. It's been great. Honestly, we've had a really, really good year. We started out with the Athletic, which was a mind blow in itself to be asked to work with the Athletic. But then they realised that maybe releasing 87 podcasts all at once wasn't the best decision that they'd ever made. And we had a very short contracted time. So the contract ran. We had a lovely time, really appreciate the opportunity. And we said, look, let's not let the show finish. Let's rebrand and go sort of like independent. And it allowed us to sort of put the show out for us. Like, it was no longer a kind of like, there was no one looking over with an editorial sort of sword or pen or whatever. And we could just be ourselves. And that's really helped me develop once again as a host. It's really brought Aaron a little bit more out of his shell. We're seeing more Aaron now rather than RDF Tactics. We've brought Simaggio in as well, who's recently helped increase the dynamic, and he's doing some great work behind the scenes, and he's doing the thumbnails, and the scripting and the planning's a lot tighter. And yeah, I think the last sort of 6 months or so, I think we've really started to hit a good stride. Had fantastic guests. Yourself, Dupe, you've been on a couple of times now. You did the Christmas Patreon special, which was
that was funny.
That was brilliant. That was one of my favourite shows we've done, which is a sort of behind a paywall, let's all have a bevy and talk about Wonder Kids from years gone by, which was good. We've had Paul on as well, talking Region Air to cover sort of different save topics. And yeah, it's just been great. Like, people are jumping in, talking about their saves, coming in with really good ideas. And then with Patreon, again, we've been able to do some really daft stuff that we wouldn't be able to do normally. Like, we've had watch-alongs. So me and Second Yellow Card watched Goal 3 as a watch-along, which is just, it's the worst film ever.
Terrible.
Compared to the first two, it's so annoying, that is.
It's so bad. We've watched it, and at the end of it, we went, I don't think that's Goal 3.
Yeah.
Like, we're not entirely sure what we've seen. Myself and FM girl Alice watched Shaolin Soccer, which is just, it's one of the greatest films of all time. If you've not seen that, you need to have a check out. So yes, it's just allowed us to do some interesting things that we've maybe wouldn't have been able to do with the Athletic or in previous forms with FMT. Just, I feel as though we've developed as podcasters now, and we're allowed to take those risks. And yeah, thankfully, the audience are coming on the journey with us.
I see something that we've always kind of spoke about, wished that we had the balls to do, to be perfectly honest. Maybe because potentially nobody would ever fucking show up. It is live shows. I see you've got that down.
Yeah, that was, again, they've been, I think they were always the ones that we wanted to do. Like, when Matt and I first started Football Manager Therapy, way back in the pandemic days, we both came from a performance background. Me as a stand-up, Matt as a host and a presenter. We always said that if we could do a podcast that would lead to a live show, then we've sort of ticked that off the list. And we sold it as an FM meetup because there hadn't been one for many, many years. And we were quite fortunate that the community we built with FMT at the time were looking for a meetup, and we all converged in Nottingham. And it just so happened, we had no idea, but it just so happened it was the day before the launch of FM 22, possibly, I think it might have been. So basically, we had people turning up, booking hotel rooms, and running off after we'd all had a few drinks afterwards, and just loading the laptops up to download the game at midnight. And we sold it as come to see the show for an hour. And because the people who run the Nottingham Comedy Festival, I've worked with them for years back in my stand-up days. And they were, every year they'll text me going, do you want to do a show? Do you want to do a show? And I was like, can we do a podcast show about Football Manager? because they did one of the first ever Football Manager stand-up shows. I went down there and trialed out the material. So they've been really, really good to me. And we've been able to sort of like get 50, 60 people in a room who've just come, and we have the show, and it's a live podcast, but it's also like bring your stories. And then we always say, like, once the show finishes, don't go away, go downstairs in the bar, and we'll just have a meet and greet, and we'll chat and we'll talk stories. And there's been nights where we've like finished these gigs at like 3-4 in the morning, and it's just been brilliant. Like, we're meeting people we've never met before. People from community are becoming friends with each other. They're getting like sort of lifts organized because they travel from the same areas. Shout out to the mad scientist who flew over from Denmark for the show and brought his mad mate.
What a man.
Who was like, it was brilliant. It's brilliant. And then that's almost become a thing. So we're coming up towards our fourth one now. The 4th of November is our fourth Nottingham Comedy Festival show where we're doing the FM show live. So yeah, again, if you're floating about Nottingham, come and hang out for an hour for the show, and then drink all the hooch in town. It's been brilliant.
Crikey, that's just
challenge accepted.
Crikey,
yeah.
Do you know what? It's something that we've always kind of said would love to do. Guys and girls that are listening, watching on the thing, let us know if you think you would come to one of our live shows of the 5-Star Pod. And friends, let us know, or maybe it's something that we can organise and get sorted. Because I think personally, I'd love to be on a stage somewhere. At one stage in my life, I'd love to just stand on a stage and be me. But you never know. But no, perfect, mate. Awesome. If you give Dave all the details of that, he'll put it somewhere in the description, and everyone can go check it all out. Tony, unfortunately, mate, that's all about you now. That's done. All right, so you can relax.
It's been great. See you all later.
Thanks, guys.
Now we're going to talk about the proper stuff. Let the adults talk, mate. So we're going to talk a little bit now about FM25 announcement, because a week has now passed on by. But in case you somehow missed it, last Monday, the 30th of September, Sports Interactive officially launched their FM25 trailer alongside their new branding / logo, which we'll talk about very shortly. And I've got some things to say about that. A release date, and of course some screenshots and footage of how the brand new game will look before it officially drops on Tuesday, the 26th of November. So let's jump into it. Let's give us our opinions, because we haven't actually given any opinions on what we've seen so far. What are your thoughts? We'll go around the room. David, what's your thoughts, mate?
Who cares about the logo?
Yes, love that.
No. Whatever FM want, why are people so arsed? Like, the angle of it could be a little bit better, I think. Because I think if they just rotate it just a little bit, I think the F and the M would be a lot clearer. But the amount of people I've seen asked about that, who's bothered?
Yeah. The amount of people asked about the game just does my nuts in.
Yeah, I was thinking before we started the pod, I was thinking, obviously we're going to talk about it, but guarantee 95% of the people that I'm seeing on social media will buy the game regardless.
Yeah.
If you're really unsure, of course, the features and the announcements have been underwhelming. If you're really unsure about the game, wait until it comes out, watch some streamers, watch some YouTube videos, and then you can judge it. You'll never, ever be able to judge a game by looking at screenshots and videos. Never.
No.
Like, I have started to swear at you all, been playing a little bit of FIFA or EAFC or whatever it's called the last week or so. I had no idea what the features were like or anything. I just downloaded the trial and I've been playing it and I've been enjoying it. If you enjoy it, then great. But and I have no doubt I would have been watching clips and stuff beforehand before I played it, and people should do the same with FM. Obviously, we want to know new things. We want to know new features, but ultimately, it's not that deep.
No, and I'll be completely honest with you. Sorry. I've gone and favorited all the tweets of everyone slagging it off across the community, across the people, because I guarantee you, in about 3 weeks' time, those same fuckers are going to go, when's the beta out? When's the beta out? When's the beta out? At Football Manager, when's the beta out? Like, seriously, chill out a little bit. Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's confusing in terms of I think people, maybe it's just an impatient thing, because the game has been delayed, which means things aren't ready. And I think people are kind of, I want more. You're not giving me enough. And that's probably, have SI spoiled people in the past? Maybe, with giving out information or giving early access. But yeah, I think the point remains, it's the 2nd of October. Officially, the game is out in 7 weeks time, or nearly 2 months time. So I think it's very early to be getting in an awful state over it. Like people, I think I've seen some people saying they're not too happy with how the comms have been managed and how information is being fed. But I don't know. Is entitlement the right word here? I'm not too
Yes.
sure. If the game is shit when it comes out, have at it. But the game isn't out yet, so
That's exactly where I am at the minute as well. And like I've even put, I think I put something along the lines of like, look, it's all going to be fine, and if it's not, that's fine too. Like but like just as Dave says, like reserve judgment when you actually see it. Like what I've seen and what I'm trying to comprehend is the anger. People are taking it very, very seriously. And maybe it's because, I'm in my mid-40s and I'm trying to take a step back and going like, this is just a video game. Why are we getting worked up about a video game? Like, I want to see the match engine. I want to see the match. I want to know what's new. And it's like, well, football's not advanced in 12 months.
Yeah.
Like, what has happened in football in the last 12 months that wasn't available in FM24? What are people wanting? Like, I know the things have been taken away, and I get that people are then going to go, well, hang on, stuff's been taken out that I've never used. Why? Right? It's going to cost the same money or not a bit more. That's a discussion to be had about, okay, if you're getting a bit of a less experience, we talk about international management, it's not there. Well, it feels really weird to not be able to win a World Cup in a football game. That does sound weird, right? Women's football is very much ingrained within international football. It's giving with one hand, it's taken with the other. That feels weird. But all this thing of, I want to know what the new features are. What new features? Like, what features is there going to be in Football Manager that isn't there already?
It's the same as any game, really. Like, if there's a game coming out annually, it's very rare that there's like massive new features, like something that's a complete game changer to the year before. There'll be things that are better and more polished for sure. But like, it's never going to be the case. I think the one thing is because they've sort of hinted towards the match engine, everyone's just expecting we're going to have some unbelievable 3D match engine, realistic this and this. I think the match engine for the systems that are able to play the game, the match engine is okay, and it does improve. In my opinion, it improves every year. Of course, I would love to see a 4K realistic, where I can see every hair follicle and wrinkle. Everyone would love that, but this is just never ever going to happen. Especially when you've got a game that's basically catered to be playing on such a computers can be powerful, but to be designed to be played on like a 300-400 quid laptop, if you can, you're never ever going to get that, really.
Do you know, I've been a bit naughty with my Atalanta save. Talking about match engine, I did a lot of the pre-season doing 2D, trying to work out the transitions and all that stuff. And I fucking kept it. I've just kept it. I've been streaming 2D. I've been playing the network in 2D. And do you know what? Like, there's a lot of shit that annoys me with FM when I play the game, which is just the graphical representation and the way it looks. And that looks like a penalty. It's not a penalty. That looks like, all that stuff. You don't see that in 2D. You can't see any of that. I haven't been annoyed with the game. Even like a 90th minute winner against me, I haven't been annoyed because I can't see the bullshit. So, like, just adapt. Like, there's so many ways you can play this video game, and it doesn't matter whether they're going to tell you everything or nothing. 99% of the people are still going to buy the game. I'm still going to buy the game, and I'll do a save that's my original save. If after that save I go, this game's a bit shit, guess what? I'm probably going to pick a different game up and play that game. Or I'll go, yeah, this game's all right. I'll probably play another save. But with somebody that's played the amount of hours I've played over the last 8 years, I've never looked at the features and gone, I'm probably not going to play it this season or this year. It's going to be, oh, well, what save could I do? Oh, I can't do a build a nation. Let's do it different. Let's do it different. That's all it is. That's the only problem I've seen that they've told you taken that out. That's it.
I think the key bit there with the match engine, I think that's where everyone's chomping at the bit about, saying, look, there's been an announcement, there's been a trailer, there's been a teaser, we've not seen any match engine. And I've been trying to sort of like think about this over the last few days. What happened? Like, how would you like it, right? If the game came out and it looked, as Dave said, 4K, incredible, like no matter what view you had, everything was perfect, but it played awful. Or it played brilliantly, and it looked a little bit 2015, right? Because ultimately, Football Manager is not about the graphics. The best bit about Football Manager is the game itself. It's about how you interpret what's going on. You said there, Duke, like you play with 2D. You're right. It's the visual representation of what's under the hood. Like in your head, you watch 2D, you're filling the blanks in. You're creating this 4K image in your head of what the movements and the goals look like. And fine, the match engine's doing it for us, and it aids us as streamers and content creators.
Yeah.
But if I was just sat playing on a laptop, doing my own save, I'd be 2D or commentary because I don't need that. For me, I was raised on Champman 93, so I've played the game then. Like, you can't tell me that you can give me Tetris with 8K graphics and Tetris is going to be better. It's just not. Tetris is great. Like, the graphics don't make it.
All it does is just send you back to the old school days. And like I said, you mentioned about only commentary then. I can't remember who I was talking to, but somebody last year there was a glitch or there was something that a lot of people got annoyed with in the community because it was something that just killed the vibe of the game. And I was talking to somebody or chatting to somebody, I can't remember who it was, whether it was in stream, off stream, whatever, but they went back to only commentary, slowed it right down, went back to only commentary like they did in 03, 04, like they did back in the day. And he said that his enjoyment went through the roof because he couldn't see the shit, couldn't get annoyed by this stuff. He could only see what he was being told. And that was the joy of it. And I think like sometimes Mad mentioned it earlier, and he said kind of, is it this? It is. It's just the entitlement. We have been given so much information in the past, more than you go look at these other games. FIFA don't release these blogs. They don't take that behind the scenes, and they don't give the time up to do what they do. The COD games, all these other games don't do what FM do. FM do it because they are a massive company that actually make you feel like they're such a small company. When you look at SI, you would almost think what they put out and all of the kind of homely stuff they put out for you is that they are a small company, but they're not. They're massive. Their office is huge. They've got so many people working for them, and it's just like look at the stuff that they give us. They give us more than they need to, and if we keep moaning about it, they're not going to give us anything. They're just going to give us a game. And people moaning that the trailer's not got any real game footage in it. Go look at the last 5-6 years. None of them do. And it's just stop trying to bend things to fit your narrative because you're upset with the game. Shut up, pre-order it using my discount code, and just play the game. Seriously.
There's also a clear statement that more information to come, which quotes match experience, which quotes interface, which quotes tactics.
Yeah.
Obviously, the women's football is a huge thing because it's taken a lot of work to get it there, and it's been a part of their plan for years. It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. And whether you like it or not, whether you dislike the game or not, you're still going to play it. So just pick your knuckles up off the floor. Stop complaining about women's football. Stop complaining about everything else. Just get your save sorted. Get it ready for the end of November and play the game. Because I'll tell you now, I'd love it if we no. I'll tell you now. For me, it works perfectly because I'm away start of November, and I'm gutted that it was coming out then. Now they've pushed it back. Works perfect for me. So thank you for that.
I think the other thing as well, I think people have been saying, again, this has been weeks coming now, about the aesthetic of the UI visuals that we've seen and the instant remarks, of course, which I'm sure has been repeated until everyone's blue in the face. It looks like a mobile game. It looks like a console game. No, it just looks cleaner. Yeah. It looks cleaner and looks a lot less cluttered. Like, I used to think I loved seeing all this thing and data in my face, but now I've spent a couple of days looking at the new screenshots, the new layout that have sort of been making its way on the Steam Workshop and whatever Football Manager posted out themselves. I'm looking at it going, it's quite nice, that, doesn't it? It's quite clean. I like that, and they're not going to hide all that. That information's not going to go. Like, SI aren't suddenly going to go, we've got all this data, let's not bother. It's going to be in there, but it's just not going to be right at the forefront. You might have to click 2 buttons to find it, and it's just in a neater position, a neater holding pen.
But those same people would have complained if they opened the box up on 25 and it looks identical to 24.
Yes, exactly.
That's
we want change, but not like this.
Yeah, not like this. Okay, I think that's everyone put their ranting swords down. Are we all okay? Everyone got what they wanted out? Because I guess it is time. It's time to tell the optimists that are correct to keep the faith, or the moaners will have the last laugh. So keep your eyes out on both Football Manager and the 5-star potential accounts on X for more updates for when they drop. We'll also have some more special guests soon to discuss on FM25 in much more detail. Eyes emoji. And also, there'll be giveaways over on the channel and the YouTube for some FM codes. I think we actually do have time for the quiz, which is very disappointing.
Oh.
Unless you got somewhere to be.
Tony wants
Tony.
a quiz. Up to you, Tony. Do you like the quiz, Tony? We don't. If it's very late for you, Tony.
I think Tony will be good at this.
Look, FM Wonder Kids, you've never seen how I've played.
No,
Dave.
actually, I tell you what, I didn't do Wonder Kids. I quit. I went for an FM24 kind of. This is players from FM24. Okay. I thought we'd do a little bit of a how well do you know FM24. So it's a quiz about a Greek youth player. No, sorry, Tony. It isn't. No, we're going to do an old, kind of an old-fashioned attributes quiz. I want to see if you lads kind of just can remember some of the standout players from FM24 from the start of the game. Obviously, here we are nearly 1 year later. So I'm going to give you an attribute and the value. I'm just going to look for players who had a certain attribute or who were at the higher end of particular attributes, and it's all Premier League. So hopefully that will be a bit easier for you as well, boys.
What we're doing, shouting
So we'll
out?
start off.
We're shouting out.
Do you want to work together? You can just shout out names. You can work together. Yeah, we're all friends.
We're all friends here.
We're all friends here, plus Tony. So the first attribute. Wow.
Mad.
The first attribute I have. So I'm looking at the pace attribute, and at the start of FM24, 3 players in the Premier League had a pace attribute of 19. Name those 3.
Adama.
Yeah.
Adama Traore, yeah.
Adama is correct. He's going to have that forever because of Dave has a party.
Mickey van der Ven.
I don't look after him anymore.
Mickey van der Ven.
Mickey van der Ven is
I was
correct.
gonna say that as well.
I seen a tweet today with the fastest players of the Premier League. Mickey van der Ven was
In
top.
FM or real life?
In real life, but that's going to be very similar.
This
Because
is
the
FM24 database. You must remember.
Not Rashford, no.
no.
Not Rashford.
Kyle Walker?
Shouts.
Say Walker with
Nope,
a shout.
not
yeah.
Kyle Walker.
Saka isn't that fast, is he?
No.
Negative.
Which is why we're not going to say his name.
No, so I was just making a statement more than anything.
no, yeah.
Just going, Saka's not that fast. It's not him.
It's definitely not him.
I mean, you ain't got Luton players on there. There's a mate boy from Luton that was rapid as well, isn't he?
There is a player in Luton, but it's not him. It would be Luton because it's FM24. Like Luton would be included, but it's not a Luton player.
Is it Erling Haaland?
It is Erling Haaland. It's a great
Is
shout.
it?
Wow.
Yes, 19 pace
I
in
wouldn't have said that.
FM24. Great shout.
That's
on,
a good
Tony.
shout, to be fair.
Right, moving swiftly on. There are 3 players at the beginning of FM24 in the Premier League who were given a finishing attribute of 18. Name them.
Haaland.
Haaland?
Correct. Get the easy one out of the way. Yes, Haaland is correct with 18.
How many?
3.
18 finishing. There's 3 in total. Haaland and 2 others.
Does Harry Kane count? Did he start in FM24 in the Premier League? Or was
No,
data
he was
update?
at
with
Bayern.
No,
him?
but Son
Was it
is.
Bayern?
Because Dave's, he's really good in Dave's network.
Son.
So the network's him.
Son?
Son is correct. Good
Wow,
shout. 18 finishing.
Isaac?
There is one
I think
other.
there's always a Newcastle player in there.
Salah?
There often is, but it's not Isaac and it's not Salah.
Wilson.
Callum Wilson. There always is a
He is a
Newcastle
Newcastle player.
Correct. I don't think he'll have that next year now. I don't think he'll have an FM24.
Injury prone.
And he'll have a natural fitness of -4. Next up, we had 2 players at the beginning of FM24 who had 17 attribute for long shots.
KDB.
KDB is correct.
Odegaard?
Odegaard is correct.
Ooh,
Oh, lads, you're
oh.
flying at the moment.
Oh,
Nice shouts indeed. Moving on, there at the beginning of FM24, there were 2 players with a penalty taking attribute of 19.
Kane's got to be there, surely.
No, Kane's not on it.
Kane plays in
not
Germany.
there. Not there.
Bruno
That's the
Fernandes?
issue I had.
Bruno.
Bruno Fernandes is correct. 19 penalty.
Raul
taking.
Jimenez.
Raul Jimenez is incorrect.
Ooh.
Haaland?
Haaland is incorrect.
Salah?
Salah is incorrect.
Penalty take.
Dominic Solanke.
Incorrect.
I'm trying to think of penalty takers.
Yeah.
Oh, Ivan Toney.
Ivan Toney is the shout. I thought maybe
Yeah.
you'd slip your mind
No,
because he's obviously left.
I'm not trying to call it. Check him, and he's mad.
I think he might. I might. I don't have it open anymore. He might have had 18 when I saw it, but there was only 2 on 90.
Okay. It used to be 20,
which was the
actually.
max one,
So
yeah.
that's why I thought it was a bit.
When you're no longer a Wolves player, your attributes just aren't half as generous, are they?
Maybe that actually just went bang out of his head or something.
Oh,
Yeah. Next up, we have dribbling. There were 2 players beginning of FM24 with 18 for dribbling.
Kane.
Okay.
KDB. De Bruyne.
KDB is incorrect.
Oh.
Saka.
Incorrect.
What is it? Sorry, 18.
18.
18.
Martinelli.
Bernardo
Grealish.
Silva.
Oh,
Martinelli's incorrect. Bernardo Silva is incorrect. Grealish is incorrect.
Oh,
Foden.
Incorrect.
ooh, that's ooh.
Madison.
Incorrect.
Son.
Yeah.
Son is incorrect.
Eze. Elise.
Incorrect. Incorrect.
Mitoma.
Mitoma is correct.
Ooh.
18
Oh,
dribbling. Great
nice.
shout.
Salah.
Yeah.
Salah is
Jameson.
incorrect.
Doku.
Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Incorrect. Incorrect.
No, we didn't say defending 4.
No.
Rashford.
Rashford is incorrect.
What we have to
Son.
dribbling. I've said Son.
Dribbling.
Dribbling 18 along
18.
with Karo Mitoma.
Son.
Son is incorrect.
Alvarez. Julian.
Alvarez is incorrect. I'll give you a clue. He's already been mentioned for one of the attributes we've
Adama.
just had. Adama Traore again, Dave.
But he's
Dribbling
his
18.
shit, but
No, his
Pace
dribbling's
19.
good. He's just shit at everything else.
I was thinking it's just players that run with the ball. Him.
Just being able
Yeah,
to
I
run
know.
in a straight line with the ball doesn't mean you can dribble.
Typical. Next up, we had 2 players in FM24 who had 18 for heading.
Harry Maguire.
Incorrect.
Van Dijk.
Incorrect.
Ooh.
Suchek.
Suchek is a shout.
Suchek's a good shout,
Correct.
Ooh.
18 heading.
Your Newcastle forward, who was it? You said him earlier.
Isaac.
No, the other one.
Wilson.
Awesome.
Wilson.
They're both wrong, so.
Tarkowski.
Incorrect.
Shaw.
Dunk.
Sorry, go again.
Shaw and Dunk.
Shaw and Dunk, both incorrect. But
Gabriel.
you're on the right track. Gabriel is incorrect.
Saliba.
Incorrect.
Pau Torres.
Incorrect.
Calvert-Lewin. Or we go back to, is it centre back?
Incorrect.
Or is it
Tis a centre back.
centre back?
Willy Bolly.
Incorrect.
Gabriel.
I would say warmer for Willy Bolly, but incorrect.
Willie Warmer.
Nathan Collins.
Is it Basil Bolly? Is that who it is? You're getting
Incorrect.
closer.
Definitely incorrect.
Michael Keane.
Incorrect.
Who's matey boy that went to West Ham? Max Kilman.
Incorrect, but you're getting warmer.
It's a Wolves player.
Kind of.
Craig Dawson.
Ballon Dawson.
Fucking hell. I never would have got that.
18 heading.
I forgot he still
That
plays, or he's still about,
Yeah.
to be fair.
Baller, man.
That was out there, in fairness. Right, we've got 4 left. There were 3 players that were given 18 for decision making at the beginning of FM24.
KDB.
KDB is correct.
Rodri.
Sure.
Rodri is correct.
Bernardo.
Ooh.
Silva.
Hang on.
Bernardo
Let's
is
do a hat trick here.
incorrect.
Let's do a hat trick here.
Go on.
I'm gonna go for. I got 2 that I want to go for.
Go on.
I'm gonna go Erdegaard. Just make it safe.
Odegaard is incorrect.
What's
My
your-
second one. Declan Rice.
Declan Rice is correct.
Oh.
That's a great shout
Yes.
for
Third one was Bruno.
Rodri, KDB, and
After
Declan
his
Rice.
decision making of the weekend, I decided not to.
It's been overturned, isn't it? That game?
It has. Are we gonna replay the game as well? 'Cause you might as well.
Might as well. Right,
We'll go with that game.
down to the last 3. At the beginning of FM24, only one player was given 20 for the aggression attribute in the Premier League.
Martinez, the Toro.
Incorrect.
No, not the Toro. Mate,
Emiliano.
Scott
not
McTominay.
Emiliano.
Romero, Christian.
Cristian Romero is correct. 20
Sure.
aggression. Next up, only one player was given an attribute of 20 for off the ball in the Premier League.
Adama Traore.
Incorrect this time.
It's like movement off the ball.
Yeah. Son? Or
Son is
KDB, maybe.
Incorrect.
Haaland.
Haaland's a shout.
Incorrect.
Oh. Salah?
Now what? Salah is incorrect. I don't think any of you have used this guy's name so far in this quiz.
Oh, okay. Is he a forward, Mad?
He would be a forward.
Striker.
Jota.
Not necessarily a striker. Jota is incorrect.
Diaz, Gakpo.
Kai Havertz.
Shout.
Incorrect on all three.
Have we tried Bernardo Silva?
Yeah.
Incorrect.
Phil Foden? We tried him already. We said him before.
Incorrect. This player's just had a move in the recent transfer window IRL. A loan move, I believe.
Gundogan?
From a big club to a big club. Not Gundogan.
Oh,
Not Jadon.
Sancho or Sterling?
Sterling, maybe.
I'll give it to you. It's Raheem Sterling. 20 off the ball. Good shot,
Well,
Dave.
that's a lie. You said big club to big club. Neither of them are big.
He said blue club to blue club, he said.
Yeah. And last but not least, there was one player in the Premier League in FM24 who was given a 20 attribute for strength.
Damn.
Molly.
Adama Traore.
Not Adama Traore.
Bolly.
Or Willy Bolly.
Van Dijk?
No. Incorrect.
Oh,
Scott
I know
McTominay.
this one. I know this one.
Go on then.
He knows
It's a
it.
Newcastle player, isn't it?
It isn't.
I thought it was fucking Joe Linton. I swear you've
No,
done
Joe
that
Linton.
before.
Joe Linton. Actually, we did that on a quiz before, and he's the one that had 20 for bravery. But this
Okay.
is strength.
Is it Sushek? He's not that strong, is he?
Incorrect, but a little bit warmer.
A little bit
Oh,
warmer.
Lukaku.
Incorrect.
How can Suchek be warm to Lukaku?
No, I don't. I'm not listening to
London?
Mad. Well, so he plays for West Ham.
Who else did West Ham have?
Zuma.
Jared Bowen.
Zuma.
The correct answer has just been said. It is Kurt Zuma.
Cat kicker.
Got a strong kick on him as well.
Kit Kat.
Cat kicker indeed. Kurt Zuma, yeah, 20 strength, which is an interesting
Wow.
one. And that's your lot, boys. So you do
Yeah.
know FM24. Fair
Bang,
play.
bang
boys.
fucking average. I'll be honest.
That's good.
Well, that does quickly. That does bring episode 373 to a close. You can find the links for all of us in the podcast description or by visiting 5starpotential.com, where you can find all of our latest Football Manager content. Tony, I will open the floor to you. Where can we find you, mate? Because Dave will probably forget to put the
I
links in.
will put them in, but shout yourself.
Dave won't forget. Dave's a consummate professional. Of course he won't forget. But in case he does, if he does, like say for example, I don't send him them, right? Then you can find me on Twitter. I'm still calling it Twitter, not X. Twitter.com. I'm Tony Jameson on there. And it's twitch.tv/Tony Jameson FM. It should really be Tony Jameson, but I locked myself out of that back in the day and can't get myself back in it. So that's why I'm Tony Jameson FM. And if you want to search the FM Show podcast, then that's on YouTube as well. But yeah, you don't want to go looking for another podcast. You've got a cracking one here, so do that.
But they can now because they finished this one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, if once you've gone back and listened to all the other 300 odd episodes of this one, then you can start on mine. So,
Well, 5-Star Potential is available on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and most of our popular podcast apps and platforms of a brand new podcast released every single week. Thank you all for listening. There'll be more from us next week. Say goodbye, gentlemen.
Goodbye, gentlemen.
take it easy, everyone.
Goodbye.